Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are recording on Wednesday, September 27th, 2017 at the Medicare Education Center in the Fort Harrison Office Park. My name is Jay Cox. I'm your host today. Thank you for everyone who is here live. We are going to be doing a program today which we call the ABCs and Ds of understanding your Medicare benefits. Because very often when you hear someone making a presentation about a subject in a simple manner, they say we're going to cover the ABCs. When it comes to Medicare, we're going to cover the ABCs and Ds because, as you're going to learn in today's program, there are 4 parts, A, B, C, and D. But before we get into that, you've got some materials on the desk in front of you I'd like to explain to you. First off, you've got a CD recording in that case there. Last week, I was on a radio show, WITT-FM 91.9, broadcast from Fountain Square, with a guy who I bet you a lot of you remember, if you remember the O'Malley's grocery stores. Danny O'Malley, who's the second generation manager of that, is still actively involved in customer service in the Indianapolis area. He has a radio show on Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. And he talks about various subjects of community interest. He has me on twice a year as their Medicare authority. So this is something I'm giving to you and you can find on our website because this was a 1-hour conversation, so it got very wide-ranging, and we ended up talking about a lot more subjects than just the basics we'll be discussing today. So please take that with you, and when you have an opportunity, give a listen also. It's in CD format, so I'm sure you have no problem with finding something you can play on. Also in front of you, you've got this little round disc, and strange, it looks just like a yo-yo, doesn't it? I'll bet you think it is. Well, it's not. It's not simply because it's what we might call a metaphor. I want to stress to you today that I give you a yo-yo because I want you to remember what the letters of yo-yo stand for. Y-O-Y-O. That stands for you're on your own. We, and I say we because there's my card, I'm a Medicare recipient also. We are at the stage in life where we have to be responsible for making sure to get our own benefits. We don't have the human resources department, our employers, to take care of us anymore. If you don't know about the benefits that are available and make sure that you get them for yourself and work with agents who are knowledgeable about them like I am, if you don't know about and get the benefits you need, you won't have them. You need to become what we call a proactive consumer, and you've certainly taken the first step in being here today and learning how to do that. I'm standing here today to talk to you as if I'm wearing 4 hats, and I'd like to talk about them. First and foremost is the hat that I wear as a Medicare recipient. So I'm covered by the same programs. I'm experiencing the same things with Medicare coverage that all of you are. You know, we not only talk the talk, we walk the talk as well. Secondly, though, I'm talking to you wearing the hat of someone who's a Medicare certified enrollment officer. I am registered with and regulated both by the state of Indiana as well as the federal government in order to be able to enroll people into federal benefits programs as well as state programs. And I mention that to you because of the fact that I want you to know that everything we do, everything we say is very strictly regulated by the federal government. And this program today is designed for your benefit to share that important information with you about how your federal government benefits work. The third hat I'm wearing as I'm talking to you is as a Medicare advocate, in the sense that I've been involved with enrolling people in Medicare programs ever since the Medicare Modernization Act began in the year 2005. We'll be talking about that more as we go through our program, but that Medicare Modernization Act of 2005 basically changed the structure of how people in America get their Medicare benefits. And I've enrolled many hundreds, and it's probably into the thousands, of Hoosiers, not only around central Indiana, but all the way around the state in these programs. So I have long experience Kind of like that other insurance commercial you see on TV these days, a thing or two, because we've seen a thing or two. And I've seen a thing or two or three or four or five or six and on and on and on. But the fourth hat I want to stress that I'm wearing as I'm speaking to you today is not just as a Medicare advocate, but as the t-shirt here says, I want to be your Medicare advocate. I'm doing these education programs for your benefit today, folks. We are not into a time of the enrollment period where we can start enrolling people. So most of the agents wait until that time and then try to teach you what you need to know and sell you something at the same time. We are not selling anything today. There's nothing for sale. We are not taking any applications. There's no insurance companies involved. We are just doing this to help you understand the basics, because I know from long experience, unless you understand how the programs work, you can't begin to know how to select the benefit that's best for you. And that's what I want to be able to help you to do. We want to help you understand the basics of Medicare, not in the sense that you have to understand them like you're going to have to take a test and pass it to be able to get your Medicare benefits. Of course, that's not correct. You just need to understand how the benefits work and work with a knowledgeable and qualified agent such as myself to be able to get these benefits. Because the good news for you is when it comes to these benefit programs, I can help you get enrolled with these companies, and there is never a charge to you for any of my services. And let me explain that to you, because I've got to work for a living just like everyone else. I need to earn a livelihood. The way the federal government has established this program is that if I help you learn about a benefit from a company like an Anthem Insurance or a Humana Insurance or an Aetna or a Cigna, and you decide that's the program you'd like to get your benefits from, when I help you enroll in the program, frankly, I can do all the work for you. All you got to do is sign and accept it. But when you do, the insurance company that I enrolled you with at your selection will pay me a fee for having done that. And it is a fee. It is not a commission. It's a flat fee, which is not only set by the federal government, but the federal government has a rule that all the insurance companies have to pay independent agents like me the same flat fee for all the programs. So there's no incentive for me to try to steer you to one company that's going to pay me more for helping you enroll with them than another. They all pay the same. They pay me, not you. So you get the best of both worlds. You get my assistance and you don't have to pay for it. You know? Is this a great country or what? So I want to disclose these things to you up front so you understand where I'm coming from. And also on one of the pieces of paper you have in front of you, let me talk about some of the things that you've got in your worksheet. One of them is a piece of paper which says our disclosures. There are 3 points I want to repeat on there that I've just gone through, which I want to reiterate. Yes, sir.
How long is this program? Is it from 205?
This is going to be a 1-hour program.
But how long has it been in effect?
Well, these benefits have been available since the year 2005. We're going to cover that in a second. And actually, folks, if you don't mind, if I could ask this, I know when people ask me how long these programs are, if I say 1 hour and 1 minute, no one will come. We'll make this a 1-hour program, I promise you. And at the end of that 1 hour, we'll be able to stay and talk and take questions and have conversations all you want. But if we can, please, let me just go through this and cover the information I need. So if you got a question, please jot it down along the way. And then when we finish in an hour, then we'll take them all in, okay? I'm sorry, I should have said that earlier. But I'll be explaining about the 2005 to you in a minute. On this piece of paper that says our disclosure, if you look right in the front, you can see right up front, number 1, it says, I am not an insurance agent. I am able to license with these different companies to represent products to enroll you in without having to be under their instruction. So I work for your best interest, not the companies. Number 2 is it says, I am registered with and regulated by both the federal and the state government. And you've got my license numbers there. That's full disclosure for you. And then, as it says in number 3, there's never a fee for our services, and as I just explained, that's because the fee for helping you with one of the programs is paid by the company, not by you. And I'll mention on the back of here also, if you have a chance later, please take a look at this, because this is a long list of endorsements I've gotten over the years. And I think if you take a look at these, you'll be able to get an idea of the basis of the service that I try to provide. And if you notice on there, not only are there a lot of listings, but if you notice, they all happen to be from women. You know, I take pride in pointing that out right up front. I work very hard to have good relationships with my female clients. It's easy for guys to get along with guys. Some guys aren't too good at relating on a service basis with their female clients, but I want you to know it's something I take very seriously and work very hard at. So what we're going to be doing today, as I said, is talking about the ABCs of how our Medicare coverage works. And in order to do that, we're going to spend today 1 hour learning about the basics. So we may talk about some things that you say, well, I understand about that. I know, but we've got to build from the ground up. But I assure you, every single person here, there will be something new you're going to learn about today you have never heard of. Because you can read these books until you're blue in the face, but until you actually get a personal explanation, that's when you're really able to develop an understanding of what you've got available. So if you could please, look for this booklet you've got in here, this one that says Hello Clarity. Please find your Hello Clarity book, and when you do, please turn to page 4. So we're at the one that says, how does Medicare work? If you see right at the top, it talks about Medicare choices, and it says step 1. Step 1 is the easy step. Step 1 is when you turn 65. And what it says is when you turn 65, you are automatically enrolled in something called Original Medicare. This is the program that was created by Congress and signed into law by President Lyndon Johnson back in 1965. And Original Medicare consists of giving you 2 benefits, a Part A and a Part B. Because if you think about looking at your Medicare card, if you've ever noticed on there at the bottom, it lists, it says Part A and Part B, and it gives the dates you enrolled into those programs. You have to have Part A and Part B in order to be able to get these Medicare benefits. So let's talk about what Part A and what Part B are. And in order to do that, you need to go to another piece of paper, this glossy piece of paper, and it says at the top, Medicare Part A, or it may say Medicare Part B, because that's what it says on the other side. Yep, see, Medicare, 2017 Medicare Part A. Okay? Part A is your hospitalization coverage. What Part A says when you've turned 65 and you've got Original Medicare, it says if you have to go into the hospital, we at Medicare are going to pay all your bills after you pay a deductible. But as you can see on here, that deductible in the year 2017 happens to be $1,316. And that benefit, that deductible amount can and does change on an annual basis. So that if you're watching this tape and it's in the year 2018 and you think you found it's a larger number than that, that's the reason for it. You would have to pay $1,316 and then Medicare would take care of everything else for you. So your hospital bills will certainly be a lot larger than that, but that's still a chunk of money to have to pay, even if you're just an inpatient for 1 day. And also, if you look at the bottom, after you finish your stay in the hospital as an inpatient, you may not be ready to be able to go home. For example, you may have fallen and broken your hip, or you may have had a stroke, and you're going to need to be wheeled down the hall and make the transition from being an inpatient to being in a skilled nursing facility, receiving skilled care, physical rehabilitation. Medicare has a 100-day program to support you. They say for the first 20 days, we're not going to charge you anything for that period of time. However, if you need to be there more than 20 days, for days 21 through 100, we have a daily copay, which is $164.50 a day. And if you do the math on that, if you had to be there all those 80 days, that comes out to $13,160. But that's actually the good news, because if your rehabilitation takes longer than that, after 100 days, there is no assistance from the government. You'd have to pay the full amount, which is averaging about $250 a day. But if all you did was turn 65 and all you had was original Medicare, that's how your Part A benefit would work. You'd have to pay a deductible to be an inpatient, and you'd also have to make a copay if you had to be in skilled care. Now, back on our booklet here, where it talks about original Medicare's Part A and Part B, if you turn this over, let's look at what Part B happens to be, because Part B refers to doctors. And basically what it says is if you need to see anyone from your primary care physician up to a skilled surgeon, we'll pay 80% of the bill. That means you have to pay the other 20%. So there again, is the glass half empty or half full? They're paying 80%. But let's say you had to go in the hospital as an inpatient and you had to have a $50,000 surgery. Well, right off the bat, you're going to have to pay your Part A deductible of $1,300. And then for Part B, your surgeon's charge, 20% of $50,000 is $10,000. Pay up. So if all you did was turn 65 and all you had was original Medicare, that's what you would be subject to for Part A and Part B. Now, fortunately, we have two ways to augment those expenses, because you don't want to be in original Medicare and subject to these charges, because there's no ceiling on how much they could cost you in a year. Because if, let's say, 4 or 5 months later, something else happened to you, and you had to go back in the hospital again, and you had to have an expensive surgery again, you'd pay those Part A and Part B deductibles all over again. So you've got two alternatives, and you see those listed in your glossy book here under Step 2. On the left is Option 1, which is called a Medicare Supplement, and on the right is a Medicare Advantage, also known as a Part C, which is your Option 2. Because remember I said we were going to talk about the A, B, C's, and D's of Medicare? Well, there's your Part C. Now, under Option 1, with the supplement, the supplements have actually been available ever since 1965, when Medicare was originally created. Plain and simple, they're a private insurance contract. They're just like your automobile insurance. Every month you pay a premium. And it doesn't matter whether you didn't get in an accident that month. I mean, did anyone ever get a letter from their auto insurance company saying, we noticed you didn't have any claims last month, so we're returning your premiums to you? Anybody ever see that happen? Not in this lifetime. Well, supplements the same way. There are different types of supplements, but just to be simple about it, the most well known is what's called Plan F. And with Plan F, you pay a premium, and they cover all the co-pays and deductibles that would amount from Part A hospitals or Part B doctors. So that's the good news. The good news is they'll pay all your bills, but the bad news is you're paying that supplement every month whether you use it or not. And by the way, here's where the D and the ABCs and D's drugs come in. D stands for the Prescription Drug Plan, Part D. If you have a Medicare supplement, you also have to get a prescription drug plan as a separate purchase. So you'd actually have two premiums to pay, one for your supplement and one for your drug plan. But as I said, with the supplement, you pay a premium, and you don't have co-pays or deductibles. Now, the other alternative that I just got asked about earlier, the other alternative is over there under option 2, the Medicare Advantage, also known as the Part C. Because the Medicare Advantage is not a private insurance contract like Medicare Supplement. A Medicare Advantage is a federal government program. It was passed into law and signed by the President in 2005. And it's intended to be an alternative to option 1 for people who can't afford to pay those Medicare supplement premiums. Because a Medicare supplement and a Medicare Advantage do the same thing, they just do it in different ways. With the supplement, you pay a premium and you have no co-pays or deductibles. With the Advantage program, you don't pay a premium, unless you might happen to have what's called a special needs plan. If you have a chronic condition like diabetes or cardiovascular disease or circulatory problem, you may have a program that gives you extra benefits for a modest premium of like $19. But for a standard Medicare Advantage program, there is no monthly premium. 0. But that's because you do have co-pays and deductibles, although not the same as what you saw under original Medicare. But the nice thing about the Medicare Advantage program is, there's several nice things. Number 1, the Part C Medicare Advantage program includes the prescription drug plan with it. And we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about those because the Part D prescription drug plan works the same whether you have it built into your Medicare Advantage or whether you buy it separately with a supplement. And the way it works real simply is all your drugs get rated into tiers, T-I-E-R. Generic drugs are Tier 1 and Tier 2. Brand drugs are Tier 3 and Tier 4. And all you need to do to find out what those drugs are going to cost you is look in your directory and see how much the copay is for a Tier 1 drug, a Tier 2, a Tier 3, and Tier 4. And it works the same whether you get it with your Medicare Advantage or your Medicare Supplement. So that's one of the nice things about the Medicare Advantage program. It has a drug plan built into it so you don't have to go out and buy it. But the other nice thing about the Advantage program is it does have caps on what your out-of-pocket expenses could be. Remember I said with original Medicare there was no cap. The Medicare Advantage programs have a cap. Most of them are around $5,000 or less. Now that doesn't mean you have to pay $5,000. It just means if your co-pays and deductibles that you do have to pay ever equal $5,000 in the course of a year, you've paid all you have to, and the insurance will pay 100% of everything after that. Although as when we look at these charges, you're going to see in a minute, it'd be pretty difficult to reach that $5,000 level. So now we can go to another piece of paper and we can find out exactly what, when I talk about co-pays and deductibles, these Medicare Advantage programs might happen to cost. So what we're going to look for now, folks, is we're going to look for a piece of paper. Again, it's two-sided. On one side, it's like a table, and on one side it says at the top, 2017 benefits at a glance. 2017 benefits at a glance. I'm sorry, folks, I know you got a lot of papers. That's because I want to give you all the education I can. Yes? Yes, it says 2017 benefits at a glance at the top. Before we start on that, turn it over, because I want to show you what Medicare Supplement costs. This is a table which is for somebody who's a non-smoker, and on the far left-hand side you can see it's got ages. If you want to know what a Medicare Supplement plan would cost you for that Plan F, you can see the second category from the left is a Plan F. All you'd have to do is find the age. So for example, if you're a 70-year-old female and you wanted to know what a Plan F is going to cost, just go to age 70, go across to the Plan F column, and you would see that a premium for a Medicare Supplement at age 70 would be $143.47. On the back. So that's what your Medicare supplements look like. Between that and what you have to pay for a prescription drug plan, you're going to be running around a couple $100s a month. And as you can see, the older you get, the more it goes up. Now, if you turn it back to the Medicare Advantage side, first thing you're going to notice is there's no age ranges. Everybody is the same because it's a federal government benefit. It's paid for by your tax dollars, so there's no discriminating based upon your health or your age. We're on the page that says 2017 benefits at a glance, the other side of the piece of paper you were just looking at. You can see right at the top, under plan cost, the very first line, monthly plan premium. How much is the monthly plan premium? Zero. How much do you have to pay for this program every month? Zero. Notice I did not say free, because it's not free, because remember with this you're going to have to pay, you don't pay a premium, but you do pay the co-pays and deductibles. But they are defined on here, and as you can see, most of them are very modest. For example, go down to the next listing where it says doctor office visits. If you need to go see a primary care physician, you've got a $10 copay. Or if you need a specialist, it's $45. So what that means is the months that you don't go to the doctor, what is this program costing you? Zero. But you're still guaranteed that you've got access to all the health care benefits you might possibly need. Everything is defined. The only thing, and I want to acknowledge it and point it out right up front, about the fourth category down, inpatient care. If you ever do have to go into a hospital, you have a copay per day for a maximum of 6 days. So if you're there 7 days, 8 days, or longer, there's no charge after the first 6 days, but still, for those first 6 days, that daily copay could be $295. And I want to acknowledge that to you because I'm here to present the information in an impartial manner, help you understand the difference between supplements and advantage. I don't have a favorite on this. It's not my job to have a favorite. I can enroll people in either one. If you like the supplement, you want a Medicare supplement, I can help you find a Medicare supplement. If you prefer the savings of the Medicare Advantage, I can help you find a Medicare Advantage. But I want to point out to you that if you do happen to become ill and have to go in the hospital, you've got these charges. Now, I wouldn't be pointing these charges out to you unless we had a solution to the problem. We recognize that the reason you have no premiums for these Medicare Advantage programs is because, in all honesty, you are bearing the risk of, if you become ill, you do have co-pays that you need to pay for it. But I want to tell you what we can do about it. There is a very good, very simple, very inexpensive solution. The solution is something known by the term indemnity, or some people call it indemnity. But indemnity, that's one of those words we've heard and we kind of got an idea, well, it means reimbursement, or we don't know exactly what it means. Well, I want to tell you what it means, because very often it happens, I'm talking with somebody who, even though the Medicare Advantage has been around since the year 2005, 14 years now, I still meet people every day who've never even heard of it. All they've known is the supplement, and they know they're paying a lot for that supplement, and they're in good health, and they're paying for, they know they're paying for nothing, but it still costs them a lot of money. And I show them the Medicare Advantage, and I show them they can pay zero premium for it, and all of a sudden they start thinking about, my costs are going to go from a couple $100s for supplement down to nothing a month. What I'm saying to you is, you should spend a few dollars of those savings from not having to pay that Medicare supplement premium anymore. Even though your Medicare Advantage program has no monthly premium, you should spend a few dollars of those savings from what you used to spend on a supplement to buy an indemnity policy. Let me explain where indemnity came from. And this is the good news about talking with a group of my peers. When I talk about things in some past history, everybody can remember. Like when I talk about President Lyndon Johnson, everybody remembers who President Lyndon Johnson is. Back in the 1980s, do you remember there was a heart surgeon in South Africa by the name of Dr. Christopher Baki, who became very famous by doing these heart transplant procedures? Remember what a big deal it was? People were able to have new hearts put in. Well, Dr. Baki was a smart guy in more than just health. He could see that medicine was creating products that would be able to perform what used to be considered miracles and keep people alive, but they'd be expensive miracles. And he was afraid that they'd be pricing the middle class out of access to these important life-saving services. So he came up with the idea for this concept of indemnity. And he said, what if we create a policy which says that people can buy an indemnity policy? Yes, they have a monthly premium for it, but what it says is if you get seriously ill and you have to go in the hospital for these expensive procedures, if they do, your policy is going to give you the money to pay for the bill that you're going to incur to get that service done. So that's exactly what indemnity does. Indemnity says you go in the hospital, and when you go home, you get a check for what it cost you to be in the hospital. You can set up an indemnity policy so it's designed to be able to pay the cost of any of these major expenses you might incur from your Medicare Advantage program and make it possible for you to incur these expenses and have the money to pay for them without having to do it out of pocket. Now, let's give you an illustration that will make what I just explained a whole lot easier to understand. So we're going to have to go searching for a piece of paper again, folks. This time, we're looking for a piece of paper. It's lengthwise. And it's got a fuzzy gray line across the top. And the top line in it says, Medicare Advantage, PPO monthly for a 67-year-old female. Look for your paper sideways. Sideways. There you go. Yeah, that's it. I know, as I said, I'm trying to educate you. Okay, if you notice, folks, I've got numbers written all over this piece of paper. On the bottom left-hand corner, you've got number 1. You know, like they say in Sound of Music, let's start at the beginning, a very good place to begin. We'll begin with number 1. This always makes me think of the old TV show Columbo. Remember that with Peter Falk? With Columbo, you saw who committed the murder in the beginning, and then you saw how Columbo went about solving the murder. I'm going to tell you right up front, we're looking at a program here with a monthly premium of $42.19. $42.19. Which you're spending since you're spending zero on the Medicare Advantage premium. All right, if you go to the center of the page where I've written number 2, in this particular case, this is an example for somebody who used to have a maximum out of pocket of $6,700. That was that amount on your Medicare Advantage program. They've come down. All these programs are getting better with competition in the marketplace. Remember I said now the maximum out of pocket you have to be $4,900? When this one was created, it was $67,000. Now go up to the top left of the page where I've written number 3. So here's the scenario. We're talking about a 67-year-old female. And she's had a typical condition for someone that age. Let's say she's fallen or broken her hip, or she's had a stroke. So she had to take an ambulance ride to the hospital. And then she was an inpatient for 6 days. And then to complete her physical rehabilitation, she needed to go into skilled care. And she was in skilled care for 45 days. So look over at number 4. Number 4 on the top left. On the left-hand side, number 4. See number 4? Number 4. Number 4. Here's what this lady's Medicare Advantage policy cost her. She had a program which, underneath number 4, in her case for an inpatient, her inpatient charge was $265 a day. And remember I said she had to be an inpatient for 6 days? If you go over to the right, you see the number 6. Now keep going over to the right where I've written the number 5. So you can see that $265 a day for 6 days comes out to $1,550. That's what it cost her to be in the hospital. Now back over to number 4, you can see underneath inpatient it says ambulance. Remember I said she needed to take an ambulance ride? And her policy said if you have to take an ambulance ride, it's $350. With the example I showed you, I think it was $265 with the Advantage program I showed you. But we're going to carry $350 all the way over to the right and put that on the ledger as an expense also. Going back over to number 4, remember I said she was in skilled nursing facility, SNF, for 45 days. And remember I told you the first 20 days are free? So you can see there's no charge put on the ledger over on the right on number 5 for that. But in days 21 through 45, at the bottom of the list for number 4, SNF 21 to 45 days, in her case she had to pay $140 a day for it. So 25 days times $140, we came over to the right and we put down that stay in skilled nursing cost her $3,500. And if you add all that up, that meant her out-of-pocket expense for her stroke or her broken hip and her 6 days as an inpatient and the ambulance ride and the 45 days in skilled care would have cost her $5,440. And now you can see why I have to say these Medicare, because Medicare is a zero premium. That doesn't mean it's free. It just means if you have expenses, you have to pay for them. But remember, this lady was smart. She bought an indemnity policy. And that indemnity policy cost her, how much was it again? Under number 1? $42. She bought an indemnity policy that cost her $42 a month. Let's see what she got for that $42. Go over to the left where I've written the number 6. Her indemnity policy, and by the way, we can make these reimbursement figures anything you want them to. This lady worked out an agreement that if she had to be an inpatient, her indemnity was going to pay her $275. Remember up above, the inpatient cost $265, but she's being reimbursed $275 for 6 days. So we come over to the right where I've written number 7, and we can see that she got $1,650 from an indemnity for the 6 days she was in the hospital. Below inpatient, you can see ambulance. Her policy said, if you have to take an ambulance ride, we're going to reimburse you $250. The ride costs $350, but she's being reimbursed $250. So we put that in her credit over on number 7. Now this is interesting. Remember I said skilled nursing, the first 20 days there's no charge? Well, the reality is, if you're going to be in away from home, living in skilled care, there's going to be some expenses to you or the people that come to visit you. So this policy allows you to be able to have yourself reimbursed $50 each day, even though it's technically not costing you anything, which is a great idea to add because it adds like $1 to the premium for this coverage. By having reimbursement of $50 a day for the 20 days that were free, she's got $1,000 more to her credit over in that column by number 7. And lastly, she arranged so that for the days that she had to be in skilled nursing to be paying for it, in days 21 through 100, she was going to be reimbursed $150 for each day. So there's going to be 25 days times 150, comes out to 3,750 over in our right-hand column. And if you add all that up, what that means is she got reimbursed from indemnity $6,650 for an expense that cost her $5,440. Now, if you do the math on that, over the bottom right where I've written number 8, you can see she actually got $1,210 more than what the bill from the hospital was. But to be fair, let's remember, she was paying $42 a month premium. And just to set that off, if we said we were going to charge 12 months, a year's worth of that premium, 12 months times $42 comes out to $506. We're going to subtract that from her excess. But still, even accounting for the premium that she paid, she still received $703 more than what her procedure cost her. So she went into the Advantage program with a 0 premium, and she offset the risk of having to make co-payments on the hospital in the skilled care by buying an indemnity policy that cost her all of $42 per month. She eliminated the risk that hospital stay cost her. So whenever I'm helping people enroll into these Medicare Advantage programs, I always strongly recommend that you add the indemnity coverage. It's not mandatory, but just remember, if you don't, it's what we call being naked in the market, meaning you're taking the financial risk. If you go through life, if you go through the year, you don't have any expenses, and all you ever do is go visit your doctor twice, you're out $20 for 2 $10 co-payments to your doctor. But, you know, that's why we say in this business, life is good until it's not. And when it's not, it's a little too late to worry about what should we have done to protect ourselves. So that's why I want you to know you've got 2 alternatives to original Medicare. You don't want to be in original Medicare because Part A will cost you $1,300 as a deductible, and Part B will cost you 20% as your payment to the doctors. You've got option 1, which is your Medicare supplement. You pay a premium, and then you have no co-pays. Or you've got, and you also have to buy a drug plan. Or you've got option 2, which is the Medicare Advantage, the Part C, no premiums, but co-pays. So you spend a few bucks of the savings that you have from not having bought the supplement to buy an indemnity policy, and you're offsetting the risk, the major risk, of what a Medicare Advantage policy would cost you. So that's the reason I wanted to go through this education process with you. We are going to be coming back together to be able to discuss the specifics of the Medicare programs. By law, we can't talk about the specifics of the coverage until October 1st. But that's why I put these programs on now, because if I'm just doing 1-hour programs, there's no way, come October, I could give you this kind of education and then tell you about a particular benefit program. You're really better off to be able to have me come in, take an hour of your time today to give you the basics on the program and answer all the questions you have, and then to say that we will be back here at this library again. All I have to do is find where I put that sheet.
October 18th.
Here we go. Yeah. October 18th, we will be back here at this Irvington Library. Or as you can see on here, I'm actually doing this program at 5 libraries this fall. I was at Warren Library a week ago today. Then Friday we were at Nora. Then Monday we were at the Lawrence Library. Today we're here, and Friday we'll be at the Glendale Library. So that if you want to come back to learn the specifics of what the programs for 2018 are and how to get enrolled, but you can't come back to this location on the 18th, there's 4 more libraries at 4 more different dates that you're welcome to come to one of those programs instead.
So, what's the date? October?
October 18th.
Here.
Here.
Okay.
And you've got that in here. So you can go home tonight and read all these papers, folks. Please do. Because I took the time to put them all together here for you for a reason. There you go. There's your schedule right there.
Oh.
That's what we want to do. We want to help you first off understand the basics today so that now you can know, looking at the future, do I want to have a Medicare Advantage? Do I want to have a Medicare supplement? And if I've been in an Advantage program and it's with a company like United Healthcare, what maybe some other companies might have, you might say, well, you know what, I think I've got the right program for me where I am, I should stay. But I realize now, if I'm in that Medicare Advantage and I don't have indemnity of the kind of financial risk I'm really putting myself at, you may decide you need to change programs, you may not. You may decide you need to add indemnity, you may not. But you have the opportunity to make these kinds of changes between October 15th and December 7th. That's the open enrollment period for 2017 for 2018 benefits. The good news is if you decide that you like what you've got, you don't have to do anything and you'll automatically be renewed in it. Or if you want to make a change from one program to another, I can help you do that. And at least you'll know that you've found out all the alternatives you have this year instead of just the one program you might have been in for a while. So I can't think of anything else I want to say other than I'll stop at this point and we can get into all the questions you'd like to ask. And we actually got done 10 minutes early. Yes, ma'am.
I never heard of an indemnity policy. I never heard anyone speak about it. Now, you're the first person.
Is that good or bad?
Good.
Oh, thank you.
Why do they vary in that cost?
Why does
Mine
what
is
vary?
not that amount. Why do they vary? Are they different companies to these indemnities? Are there?
Yeah, who do you
Well,
sign up with?
No, it's not just that. There's really no flat fee because let's say, well, first off, the first thing we have to do is decide how much of a hospital reimbursement you want to receive. And that is based upon, first off, how old you are and how much coverage you want to have, because you can set your daily indemnity for hospital reimbursement anywhere between as low as $200 and as high as $600 in $25 increments. Most people just match up the cost of what their copay is today with the amount that they want to get. So if your coverage says you've got a $295 a day charge, most people will get a $300 policy. But the problem with that, I've been doing this, as I said, ever since this began in 2005. People I enrolled years ago when the hospital copay may have been like $220, and now it's $290. And they realized that they bought $200 worth of coverage back then, and today it would cost them $3. They're having to come back to me and saying, hey, we need to rewrite my policy, which we can do. But frankly, because of the fact that it's the hospital policies, the hospital charges that are the most prone to increase, smart people are looking into the future and saying, you know what, if my policy requires $295 a day now, perhaps I might want to write it for $350 or even $400. I had one lady who wrote it for $500. She told me she planned on living a long time. So that's the first question. How much do you want your indemnity for? Next question, how much for the skilled care, how much of a daily reimbursement do you want for that? We can make it $100 or we can make it $150. The Because if you get 100, it costs less. The nice thing is, I've got a computer screen, we can just go click, click, click here, you know, putting all these prices in, and as we make changes, the cost shows up on the bottom. And if you say, well, that's too much, I can say, well, why don't we change this benefit from being $100 to $150 a day to $100? I click down to 100, you'll see the price lower. But then there are other things you can put what we call riders on for. For example, do you want to receive a reimbursement if you have to take an ambulance ride? If you do, we put it in. If you don't, we take it out. That's how the cost can vary.
Okay.
What you want to put
It's
in.
individualized.
Absolutely, it's very individualized.
Okay.
So is this an HMO, is this Advantage an HMO or a PPO or what?
Well, I'll talk about that since you asked, because that answer can get a little involved. We have two kinds of Medicare Advantage programs. One is called an HMO, a health maintenance organization. The other is called a PPO, a preferred provider organization. Obviously, there's a difference between them. A health maintenance organization says you can only go to doctors that are in the network that's covered by this program.
Right.
A PPO says you can go to doctors outside of the network, but you've got a higher copay because of it. Well, that used to be useful in the past, but to be honest with you, we've gotten to the point now, as I say, we're going into our 14th year with these programs, and every year they've been getting better and better and lower price with more and more benefits. We're at the point now where our HMO networks cover all four of the major hospitals in this area. Community, St. Vincent, Franciscan, and even IU. IU is just finally coming on. They're the last of the four major ones to come on board.
Are you involved in the network?
Yes, there are some HMO networks, and I'm going to include IU. I never thought I'd see that day, but we are. So the simple answer is, you tell me who your physicians are, I can look them up and I can see that they're included in the network or not. If they're included in the HMO network, then you're okay. And by the way, the HMOs are cheaper, because it's just like anything else in the marketplace. If something does more, it costs more. If something does less, it costs less. Technically, HMOs do less because they're just based upon a network.
Right.
PPOs do more because they allow you to go out of network.
Right.
So PPOs cost about $55 or $60 a month.
That's what I'm got right now. That's why I was trying to figure out.
Well, the simple answer is, when you come to see me, and by the way, everyone's entitled to a personal consultation. When you come see me, bring the names of your doctors. We can look them up right then. The only good reason there still is for having a PPO is for somebody who's traveling a whole lot, as in maybe more than 6 months of the year, and you're going all over the country. A PPO will give you a nationwide network.
Okay.
However, having said that, don't worry in the sense that, what if I go to visit my sister in St. Louis? If you're in an HMO and you're out of this area, the only reason you need to go into a hospital is because you have some kind of emergency. In the case of an emergency, everyone is considered in network.
Okay. I wondered about that.
Yeah, the only reason to have a PPO anymore is if you're driving Route 66. You're going from town to town, state to state, and you want to know that you've got a doctor that's always going to be in network somewhere. But then again, as I said, the only reason you'd go to a doctor anyway was for an emergency, and everybody's in network in emergency anyway. So most of the enrollments we're doing now are HMOs, but when we have our personal consultations, I get into more detail like that then. That's the reason I didn't bring it up now.
Well, I knew there was a difference.
Yeah.
Number one, because I worked in the health field.
The easiest way to find out is come to see me and bring the names of your doctors. And when we meet, and I encourage everybody, we won't be able to get Kevin here again until October 18th. We've got time. I would encourage everyone to have a session where I can get to know you and understand what your needs are, so I can make more specific recommendations. And that can be done anywhere. You can come to my office at Fort Harrison. I'm right at the corner of 56th and Post. You know where the Giacomo Pizza is there? I'm in that building on the second floor. Or I am like the family doctor, I still make house calls. If you're going to meet in your home, we can arrange to meet in your home. Or some third neutral place like a McDonald's. I would encourage you, you've got my card stuck in your binder there, plus I put Put cards out on the tables. If you didn't get a card, see me, you go out the door, I'll be glad to give you one. Please call and request that we have a personal planning session here. Once again, of course, there's no charge because we've never charged for anything that I do. Have a planning session with me, get to know the nature of my services better, let me get to know you so I can make more specific recommendations. And we can go from there. Yes, sir.
We're talking about indemnity policy.
Yes, sir.
$42. Are you saying that you might be more if you demand more service?
Sure, because that's just an example. That's an illustration of a 67-year-old female.
Oh, that's a...
You're not a 67-year-old female.
Not that yet.
Not yet?
Well, so that's a median price or...
It depends on how much coverage you want to have. I mean, these hospital indemnity policies have a lot of riders you can add. Just for an example, you can add what we call a cash cancer policy for $10,000. Very simple. You're diagnosed with cancer, here's a check for $10,000.
So it's another insurance policy.
It's a rider, right?
Right.
Another one that we have that's very popular is for physical therapy. Let's say you're that lady, 67-year-old female, and you had a broken hip, and they sent you home after 45 days, but they said, we still need you to go to physical therapy twice a week for the next 3 months. I mean, you know, you can't find a new shopping center anymore that doesn't have physical therapy building in it, right? Well, people start going those physical therapy sessions until they find out that each session is going to cost $50. And they decide, well, I don't need to do that after all. These policies say you can get 30 visits a year, we'll reimburse you $50 for each one, and there again, it costs just a couple dollars to add those on to your coverage. So it just depends upon how many different riders you might want to have and how much you want them to pay. We can make it do whatever you want it to do. Except be a 67-year-old female. That ain't gonna happen.
Not in this lifetime, anyway.
Well, there's got to be some advantage to the supplemental. What is it?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, hey, listen, I am totally neutral on this subject. The advantage of the supplement is if you go in the hospital for $100,000 surgery, you're going to get a bill for $0. Although I have people, when I do these sessions all the time, they stand up and say, yeah, but I have Medicare Advantage, and I had a $100,000 surgery, and it cost me $450.
This would be in addition to the supplement.
I'm lost.
So the advantage of the supplement is they pay the charges. As I said, there are good things and bad things about everything. And here's a guideline for you. If you're talking with an insurance agent, and all they've got to say is good things about Medicare supplements and bad things about Medicare Advantage, that ought to make a lot of horns go off in your mind. Why are they being prejudicial? Well, I'll tell you why. There's a lot of insurance companies out there, and I'll even use a name, Mutual of Omaha. They do not allow their agents to sell Medicare Advantage programs. They say you can only sell our supplement. So when that guy from Mutual of Omaha comes to see you, guess what? He'll tell you how wonderful supplements are. You gotta have supplements. Those Advantage, they're terrible. He'll say misleading things about them to confuse you. He's trying to steer you into buying something that is the only thing he has to sell for his benefit, not yours. The reality is, just like anything else in life, there are good things and bad things about everything. And I tell you that because I'm an independent agent. I'm not bound to any company or program. The good thing about supplements is you pay your monthly premium and they'll pay all your charges no matter what. The bad thing, there's two things. Three things. Number one, you pay that premium whether you use it or not. Number two, every year on your birthday, that premium is going to go up. And by the way, if your premium's only going up on a supplement 4 to 6% a year, that's as good as it gets, folks. There are plenty of companies that will raise your premiums $20, 20%. And there's usually nothing you can do about it because you can't switch. And the third thing is you've also got to buy a prescription drug plan. And depending upon the type of drug plan you buy, that can cost from as low as $20 a month to as much as $70. And the reason for that, real simply, is that the $20 program will probably have a very limited formulary, and the copays on the tiers will probably be higher. The less you pay for a premium on your drugs, the more you're going to pay for the purchasing of drugs. The more you pay as a premium on your drug plan, the less you're going to pay as the purchase price on your drugs.
Indemnity would be in addition to your policy. Medication.
Pardon me?
The indemnity would be an additional.
That's right.
To your.
That's right. It's an addition.
Come on, guys, if I have an HMO or a PPO with no premiums,
Yeah?
can I buy an indemnity?
Indemnity.
Can I buy an indemnity?
Yes. Yeah, you can,
You
right?
can, but whether you have an HMO or PPO, yes, you can buy an indemnity policy for Medicare
Is there
Advantage.
an advantage or disadvantage? I've never heard.
Well,
of
there's no point in buying one for supplement because your supplement's going to pay all your charges anyway. You'd only want to buy an indemnity if you had a Medicare Advantage program.
You don't?
No, that's when you want to, he's saying.
If you have a Medicare Advantage program, you want to get an indemnity also. If you have a Medicare supplement, you don't need an indemnity.
And when you say supplement, are you talking about HMO or PPO?
No, an HMO or PPO is a Medicare Advantage.
They're advantage.
We need to sit down and let me do some writing on the yellow pad for you.
Never heard of this.
I know, and I hope you appreciate that. I remember I had one lady one time, she got very upset at me. She said, I never had to make a decision like this before in my life, and you're telling me that all the years I was working, I didn't have to make decisions because my company gave me my benefits. Now you're telling me I've got to make decisions when I'm retired? And I'm thinking, I wish you could hear yourself, lady. You're complaining that you have choices? Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, you have choices, folks. But you gotta realize that's a good thing. You know, for years, people complained that everything that came from Washington was one plan fits all, and you had to get that one plan whether it was right for you or not. Well, now we're on the other extreme. Now we got lots of choices. It's just up to you. You have to learn what the choices are, and then learn how to decide which one's best for you.
Now, I was in the hospital. I had a HMO.
We shouldn't get into
I
personal
was in the
situations now.
hospital. And it cost me $800. I was 4 days in the hospital. And all I had to pay was $800 something.
I'll be glad to discuss that with you. We should not get into personal situations now. You don't want to discuss your hospital stay in front
No,
of us.
and the cost, I'm just confused about.
We'll sit down together, we'll take out a pad of paper, I'll write some things down. I promise, we'll go over it enough times, we'll make it clear for you. I promise.
You got your business card out.
No, nobody's gonna come and chase me out yet, but we are past the hour. If any
Where's
folks
your-
need to
where's
go.
your number to
Let me leave you one last thing. You've got a sheet on there that says, worksheet at the top. All the different topics we talked about are mentioned in that worksheet checklist. Yeah, if there's anything you heard me talk about you'd like to discuss, check it off. I ask you if you could please give me your name and phone number simply because I'd like to be able to call you with a reminder because the 18th of October is a long ways away. I'd like to call you with a reminder the day before about this program. If you please just leave me your phone number. I don't sell these lists. These are just my lists. No one will ever have this but me, and I'll just call you the day before with a reminder about this program.
Send you a card and
Yeah, that's my card right there, and I'll be at the back door as you leave handing out cards also. Okay? So, since everybody's here and I just said that, unless there are any more questions, I'm going to grab my box of cards, I'm going to go to the back door, and as you're leaving, I'll give you a card. And please, I invite you to take advantage of the opportunity to talk with me, and we'll see if we can hammer out some ideas for you personally at that time, okay? Last call, any last questions before we do that? Okay, thank you very much, folks.
Thank
Johnny Carson used to say, you've been a great audience.
Thank you.